something a little bit different today. I'm going to be streaming live right here from Riverside as well as on YouTube itself. I can't stream on my podcast option yet, keyword yet. But for now, this is where I'm going to be. I do have access to the chat. I do have access to all this. So obviously, if you want to interrupt as I'm going here, feel free to do so. I enjoy anyone who wants to join this banter. But for now, the title of this is Trump is all over the Epstein files, and I mean all over the Epstein files. Now, you don't believe me? I'm here. I want to put this out there with everything that we know so far, everything that's led up to this, and just face this. All right, let's think of this as it is. Right, Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted sex offender. All right, a financier to the elite, a trafficker in underage girls, a man who reached basically from Palm Beach all the way over to Paris, from Mar-a-Lago to the Middle East, and from billionaires to presidents, right? But the real scandal isn't his death. It's what happened next. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. There's all kinds of stuff that happened with that. Now, I'm going to get into that in a second. But the question here is, why did the Trump administration allow the investigation to fade into silence? Why were there court documents sealed, witnesses ignored, and prosecutors disinterested? Right? Why were all these loyalists like Bill Barr and Alexander Acosta, both with ties to Epstein, mind you, put in charge of the very agencies that would have blown this case wide open? And why is Pam Bondi, of all people, pretending that she needs permission to access files that she already has? Right? So tonight, I'm going to strip down the very curtains of the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein case, not with speculation, but with documented facts, timelines, and receipts, as well as I'm going to do a short later on about an extremely fucked up thing that is happening that no one is even talking about, and I guarantee few people even know. But there are court documents to prove that it happened and to make it even worse. So again, this is not about Epstein, right? This is about how power protects itself, right? So you are listening to the Beard Signal, done live right now on Riverside and on my personal channel right now, because my other channel is not currently up and running, having some technical difficulties. But let's just start from the top, right? So, first and foremost, strange death that basically sparked the whole thing, right? On August 10th, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, or MCC, in New York, all right? His death was officially ruled as a suicide by hanging, but the circumstances triggered immediate controversy, all right? Two security cameras outside his cell malfunctioned. Two guards fell asleep. He had no cellmate. Epstein had been taken off suicide watch just days earlier, despite a previous attempt and reported threat to his safety. So, this isn't just some random prisoner, all right? It was arguably the most connected criminal in modern American history, and the system lost track of him? No, the system let him disappear, all right? Let's just call it exactly what it is, all right? Whether you believe that he killed himself or not isn't really the point, all right? The point is every safeguard failed, all right? Every protocol was broken, and no one, not one official in Trump's DOJ, and then talking about his first term at this point, but one official in Trump's DOJ took real accountability. So, first and foremost, Bill Barr, which was then Trump's attorney general, initially promised a full investigation. He said, "We will get to the bottom of what happened," all right? But within weeks, the story just vanished from the headlines, and so did any outrage from federal officials. So, imagine if this had happened under literally anyone else, like Obama. Fox News would have been running the Epstein specials every single night for years. But under Trump, it evaporated. Period. The end. Just done, out the window. So that's the first major problem here, right? So then you have to think of Acosta's sweetheart deal, right? And the Trump cabinet, frankly. So flashback to 2007, 2008. Epstein was under investigation in Florida for sexually abusing dozens of underage girls. But instead of facing federal charges, the then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta gave him an extraordinarily lenient plea deal, right? Epstein served 13 months in the private wing of the county jail and was allowed to leave daily on work release. All right. And even more disturbing, the deal included a non-prosecution agreement for all of Epstein's unnamed co-conspirators. All right. That meant that anyone that was connected to the ring, other clients, recruiters, financiers, was legally protected by this plea deal. All right. And that, so it wasn't just a slap on the wrist, right? It was a get out of jail free card for the entire operation that was there. All right. And then 2017, Trump appoints Acosta as Secretary of Labor. That's right. The very man who let Epstein walk became responsible for the federal labor trafficking enforcement. That's not irony, all right? That's orchestration, pure and simple, all right? And Trump knew the deal, all right? He knew who Acosta was, and he hired him anyway. So then Acosta actually resigned in 2019, but the only thing that was really done, the only reason that happened was because of major public pressure. Trump defended him even as he left. So again, Trump and Epstein have a long history, all right? I mean, a long history here, all right? Trump and Epstein are definitely not strangers, all right? They've been seen frequently in the late 80s all the way through the 2000s. Epstein was a guest at Mar-a-Lago. Trump and Epstein co-hosted parties. There were multiple photos, documented socials overlap constantly for decades with these two. And then in 2002, to quote New York Magazine, Trump said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." You know, you don't say that about a man you barely know, right? You say that about someone that you've partied with. Now, after Epstein's 2008 conviction, Trump began distancing himself a lot. But no serious media outlet has seen Trump's full flight logs, and he's never been deposed under oath or about his relationship with Epstein. But again, to this day, he's never been forced to testify on anything, not about Epstein, not about the girls, and not about what happened at Mar-a-Lago. Complete and utter silence. So now we come to today. The DOJ's whole stonewalling and investigative sabotage. Simple and straightforward. The Department of Justice under Trump had every opportunity to launch a sweeping investigation into Epstein's clients, his finances, and his enablers. But then Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr quietly shut the door. All right. Bill Barr was a man who actually helped clean up the Iran-Contra scandal and later sanitized the whole Mueller report before the public ever saw it. That Bill Barr. So, Barr said that he was, appalled by Epstein's death, but no heads rolled. The DOJ made no moves to, or sorry, I should say the DOJ of Bill Barr made no real moves to expose Epstein's network, no task force, no public inquiry, no transparency. All right, the FBI visited his private island, but the media blackout was immediate. Whatever they found, still classified. And the public was left with headlines and no justice. Just straight up. Now, the other thing about that is in court, Epstein's defense team basically fought tooth and nail to keep the files sealed. All right. The government often didn't really oppose them, frankly, which is kind of fucked up in its own way. But even after Epstein's death, victims' lawyers had to fight for basic information to be made to the public. And when Ghislaine Maxwell was tried, the judge refused to release the names of Epstein's alleged clients. So they protect the list, not the girls. And at this point, you have so many girls that have been part of this thing. Why not just believe the girls? Why do you need anything outside of that? And the fact that people are already taken into custody for this stuff. And the pattern is clear. Protect the powerful and let the public scream into the void. So let's just be clear about something right up front, right? Court filings are not truth commissions, all right? They're legal weapons. So prosecutors only include what they absolutely need to secure a conviction or a plea, all right? That means that most of the real story, how deep Epstein's network went, who funded it, who enabled it, was never part of the record. So right now, as is currently sitting with Pam Bondi saying that she needs to, get access to these things, none of what you're looking for would be part of this in the first place. All right, grand jury testimony is sealed, but she has access to it. The federal memos are classified. Investigative notes from the FBI are redacted or buried. Victim impact statements often are completely omitted, or just summarized. All right. The 2008 plea deal specifically blocked charges against any potential co-conspirators, which is a bunch of bullshit. So when people say we need to unseal the files, understand they're asking to see a curated version of the truth. The truth itself, it's off the books, and that's by design. So all the hovering over, of it was basically the entire thing was just sucked up into the void and thrown in the trash from Bill Barr, the man who with the power to protect Trump, redact records, and slow walk every part of that case. Now, do you really think that he would have let anything implicate Trump or his friends? Come on. Come on. Like, no one could be that naive. Not MAGA, not independent, not Democrat, no one. No one can be that naive. And now, again, Pam Bondi recently has made her whole rounds in the conservative media, claiming that she's going to fight to unseal the Epstein files. She said she wants transparency, that she's forming a task force. It sounds good, right? Wrong. Of course it's wrong. Why? Because Pam Bondi is the former Florida AG, all right? A part of Trump's impeachment defense and connected to the same legal infrastructure that already has access to the materials. Full stop. She doesn't need a court order. She doesn't need a subpoena. She needs a printer. That's it. She already has all these documents. It's performative as living hell to sit there and say, oh, I need to ask for this. You're the fucking AG. You are the top law enforcement person right now. You need permission to see the stuff you already have access to? Bullshit. And what's worse is this isn't even what the base asked for. They don't want that. They want the files, the actual files, the thousands and thousands of pages of files that are blatantly there. All right. It's political theater, an act to stall progress while throwing red meat to Trump's base. And frankly, most of them aren't even taking it at this point. All right. Bondi is there to protect Trump, not the victims, not the public. She's playing gatekeeper, not reformer. So Trump and his allies constantly deflect. Right? They say, ask Bill Clinton. What about Democrats? Lately, his whole thing is about Barack Obama and basically pulling up all of his old glories things to try and be like, look over here instead. It's anything but what's actually happening. So it's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. And anyone with half a brain knows that. And that includes his own base at this point. So, at the same time, Trump basically would retweet QAnon conspiracies about he is the one fighting against child trafficking. Like, if you believe that, if you actually expect Trump to release everything, prosecute everyone, and burn it all down, but instead he appoints Acosta, he protects Barr, he let Maxwell, take the fall alone. QAnon created a fantasy world where Trump was the hero, right? Reality tells a completely and very obvious different story here. So, again, just listing the basics of them. Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, Leon Black, Leslie Wexner, Bill Gates. None of these men had been publicly questioned under oath by federal U.S. forces. All right? How do you run a global trafficking case and never call any of the names connected to the planes, island, emails, voicemails, and logs? All right? It's Ghislaine Maxwell's trial was narrow by design. It was a surgical damage control, and that's all it was. And let's face it, she's probably fearing for her life right now because she knows what can be done. Why? Because there's a systematic failure and strategic suppression happening very blatantly. At this point, you have to stop calling it incompetence. It's a pattern over decades across both parties, but under Trump, it wasn't just tolerated, it was locked away. And the problem is, and I guarantee this, I guarantee there are tons of Democrats and Republicans and independents and rich peaks all over these things, everywhere. I guarantee it. With every fiber of me, I will shave my face if I am wrong about this. I will literally chop off my balls at this point because I know for a fact I'm not wrong about this. From Acosta to Barr to freaking Barbie dolls that he has in his damn place right now, from sealed files to political appointees, every piece of this was is put in place to limit the fallout. pure and simple, right? Epstein was a symbol. It was a signal that there is a two-tier justice system, all right? Victims are still waiting. Names are still sealed. The public is being fed lies, distractions, and cheap performances. The Trump administration had 4 years to deliver transparency. They gave us silence. Now they're here again. He got into office literally saying that he's going to do this. He's going to make this public, only to not do it. Which, by the way, fun little side fact. Remember how he did this entire thing against 60 Minutes and what was it, CBS? I already forget. But he did an entire multi-million-dollar lawsuit saying that they doctored a interview with Kamala Harris in order to favor the outgoing election. But Fox did the same damn thing with him on this one. Remember when he was like asked on the campaign trail, would you release the JFK files? Would you release the MLK files? Would you? And he was like, yeah. And then would you release the Epstein files? Yeah. That's all you heard from Fox's. But the longer interview which was out there too, the longer interview that was found out was, he basically said, yeah, I would. Maybe, all right, maybe not so much. There's a lot of phony stuff in there. Let's face it, every single time he ever says something's phony, that means it's right on the nail. All right? It's just how it is. So I love how he went over that, but Fox News he basically said that they should lose their broadcasting license, but Fox News does that, who was already, just shy of $800 million for lying to their viewers. But don't worry, Fox is good. Make that make sense. So again, this whole thing wasn't about bipartisanship, all right? It was about the rot at the center of power that is still blatantly in control. Epstein's death wasn't the end of the case. It was the beginning of the cover-up that had to happen because they didn't want to get caught any further. And Trump's DOJ made sure that it stayed that way during both. And frankly, even under Biden, the same freaking thing happened. You heard nothing, not a damn thing about it, which is insane. Something should have come out, all right? Something should have come out. I don't give a crap if it's Democrats or Republicans, but the more redactions there are, the more bullshit you're seeing through, all right? And if justice is real, it doesn't matter who gets burned, because the main difference between the way I see it and the way most other people see it is I don't give a rat's ass if it's Republicans, Democrats, billionaires, whatever. If they're in these files for graping young women, underage women, that is sex trafficking. That's what you're supposed to be against. I don't care who you are. Your background should say, this is bad. This is bad for anyone who is even close to this. So why are so many people that are enabled to this, like Mark Meadows, who is Trump's old chief of staff, literally said that Trump's name was all over the files. The files have been seen by other people. So many people said he's all over these files. He conscripted 1,000 FBI agents to comb all the files, which don't exist, mind you, but are also on Pam Boendi's desks, but are not there, and only pertinent information because we have 1,000 people going through it to get Trump's name out of it to make it better. I'm sorry, if you have nothing in there, if you are, and here's another thing. Think of how depraved, how insanely disgusting Donald Trump is as a human being. All right, this guy has cheated on multiple wives, a lot of times with his next wife, or what will be his next wife, or playboys, or when Melania was literally at home, pregnant with Barron, he cheated on her with a porn star. I mean, there was hush money about this whole thing. So much of this stuff is done out in the open. He calls his daughter and said if she wasn't his daughter, he'd love to date her. Like, this guy is depraved as fuck. And somehow he's the president? It's bullshit and a half. And again, he is a disgusting, horrible, abhorrent human being. And that's not even getting to other things of his. I'm just talking about this stuff specifically at this moment. There's a ton of other stuff that really disqualifies him as a living, breathing human anyway. But the fact that all that stuff that we know and his base still is with him after all of that, after the Access Hollywood tapes and grab him by the pussy, all that shit. After all of that, After every single time, how many times he's had sexual assault issues against him? He's lost cases about it, defamation about it, everything under the stars. This guy is just horrible, horrible human being. And yet, I apologize, I have something in my eye. And yet, this is so bad. This puts him in such a bad light that he refuses to release it and has thousands of people combing through it to get his name out of it and take him out. How fucked up is he that is what he's doing? And you know what? This is what the short is. And actually, I need to pull up my notes here because I'm going to share it with you right now, live. Because let me pull up my notes. All right, so here's the bottom line of it. Trump raped a 13-year-old girl. That's not hyperbole. That's not out of nowhere. Her name was Katie Johnson. All right. She filed in a federal lawsuit in 2016. She swore under penalty of perjury that Donald J. Trump violently raped her at Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. All right. If you don't believe me, this is the court filing to it. You can find it yourself. That is still public record. You can find that. All right. So this is done April 26, 2016. This was filed. All right, in a district court in Central California. Now, she said that he tied her to the bed. She said that he struck her when she begged him to stop. She said that he threatened to kill her and her family if she ever spoke a word. She said that he told her about a girl named Maria, just 12 years old, who was also raped too, and then disappeared. And then Katie disappears. All right. After receiving death threats, she withdrew the lawsuit and canceled her press conference. And she's never been heard from since. That's not conspiracy. That's not unproven. This is on record. Court documents, sworn affidavits, multiple witnesses filed in the U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York. Donald Trump wasn't a friend of Epstein. He was a client. He was named, and he was photographed with him countless times. And he joked about how Epstein had the attraction to young girls and added, "I like them young too." He said that. He's listed in the Epstein files. That's why he has thousands of FBI agents running through to take him out of it. He is tied to multiple victims, and yet he still walks free, protected by wealth, power, silence, and his base still called him a hero until literally recently because he won't do it. But the bottom line is he's not a hero. He is a predator. He's a rapist. He belongs in a cell, not in the White House. Period. Full stop. And quite frankly, everyone else that's on that freaking list, client list, I guarantee. Come on, no one is that old. No one is that well connected and doesn't have some kind of a list, a connection, clients somewhere. And I guarantee they have it, and I guarantee they're covering up for people. That's just proven by what's out there. All right. So at the end of the day, whose side are you on? Are you on the victim side, or are you on the predator side? Because at this point, this is bipartisan. It should be, I should say. Every Republican lately has voted against actually releasing the files. But this should be a bipartisan thing. This should be a human being thing. That we should always fight against someone who grapes young women, little kids. That is disgusting, an abhorrent human being. And I guarantee that's why Trump is literally hiding this, because he knows even that is a bridge too far. After all the shit he's done, that is a bridge too far. So that's it for the Beard Signal tonight. This one got a little dark, but it has to be talked about because I feel like no one else is actually talking about this and giving it the real depth that it needs. And even I can't go into the depth of it because I only have access to what most other people do too. But you can put some basic shit together and realize that they're all over the place. They're all over the place. You know, again, the guy is schizophrenic. and how he's all over the place and disconnected from reality here. Because at one point it's, oh, the files. The files are on my desk. He told me to go through them, right, Bondi? The files are on my desk right now. And he wants me to go through them. To, oh, what files? There are no files. To, actually the files are real, but they're made up by Obama. If they're made up by Obama and Hillary and all these other people, why the fuck would you release it? Apparently it's all fake, and that's what you want anyway. Release it. They have nothing to stand on. They're full of shit. And for all I know, I might end up dead for this. So if I do, you know why? Because I'm hitting something on the head and I pissed someone off enough to actually try and kill me. So that's that. Let's do this. Have a great day. And thanks for joining on this live episode. And yeah. Thanks for joining the Beard Signal. Follow the podcast. Like, follow, subscribe. Do all the above. Share it with friends. Someone who agrees with this, someone who disagrees with this. Whatever it is. Let's keep the signal strong. Stay bearded. Stay clean. Stay out there.